introduce ourselves. I'm Andy, facility manager at General Mills, and a former railcar worker.
Hi, I'm Rail Worker, a fictional character based off of a real-life rail worker.
I'm Mike, an LHB industrial engineer.
I'm Jason, Director of Communications and Marketing at the Duluth Seaway Port Authority.
And I'm Kate, the Trade and Business Development Director at the Duluth Seaway Port Authority.
Well, as you may know, we have had several workman's comp claims from injuries opening rail cars. Injuries vary from pulled muscles and injured backs to more severe injuries from falling.
You're right, Andy. This is a big problem. I've worked in the rail yard for 15 years, and during that period of time, I've had my shoulder pulled and a hurt back. I had to stay in the hospital for nearly 5 days. According to PubMed.gov, that is a typical stay.
Don't you have safety fall vest harnesses?
We do, but they can only do so much.
Back in the fall, Kate and I had an FLO team come into the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. They were looking to solve the problem of lining up freighters to the chutes.
I do remember that, but didn't we all come to the agreement that that was not much of a problem?
They talked to me about a problem at the grain elevator. Andy, you're the manager there. Could you elaborate?
Sure, instability in the manual process of opening grain railcar hatches is hazardous due to the working conditions and lack of tools. This is the picture of a tool that we use currently to open the grain railcar hatches, but it's heavy and awkward to use.
If I heard correctly, General Mills says that is their #1 key safety problem at the grain elevator.
I read an article from the National Safety Council about trains. 42% of workers are not trained and 39% of injuries are from lack of training.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Oh, I see Spaceotics have arrived in our waiting in the lobby. Come on up, guys.
Well, Andy, we need to run.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
No problem. I hope you find a solution.
Hey Andy, I read on OSHA that they list grain elevators as one of the most highly hazardous jobs because we are exposed to numerous and life-threatening injuries.
Well, I can attest to that. We need to find a solution to protect you and your coworkers. Let's hear what the Spaceotics have to say.
Hi everyone, thanks for having us.
Welcome. We've heard that you have a solution to our problem.
We do. Our solution is to mount an automated winch in the loading shed. Cables would drop down and attach to hooks on the train lids and then lift the lid. Adding this would reduce the amount of wasted time and energy and severe injuries.
I talked to the Spaceotics. They had a good solution, and we worked to improve it.
That's right, we added a custom hooks to attach the train car lids.
We also added a knee pusher so the workers don't need to bend over to operate this.
And last but not least, we created the winch so it can move in the rafters.
Wow. This would be so cool if you guys had a prototype.
Actually, we have a working prototype right here.
Here's the Lego prototype we created.
I suggested that they use rack and pinion gears to move the winch in the rafters. This allows them to open and close the train car lids without manual labor.
Wow, this looks great. Do you have any idea how much this would cost?
When we talked with Mike, we estimated it would be around $20,000 per winch.
This price includes the winch itself, installation, and electrical, along with all of the labor and parts.
As an industrial engineer, I think this is feasible and would be a great addition to this facility.
I think this is an awesome idea and that the rail workers will find this safer, more efficient, and make their jobs a lot easier.
This sounds great. I think my colleagues and I would agree that this would make our job a lot safer.
Well, Andy, I'm excited to see this get implemented into your facility.
Me too. I'll run it by my crew and let you know what they think. Well, that's all for this meeting. See you next time, everybody.
Well done. Just gonna turn off the timer so it doesn't go off here. Well timed too, there's 20 seconds left. Awesome presentation, awesome, like well done memorizing everything, that's very impressive.
Thank you.
And it was like, also you spoke very clearly, which I very much appreciate, because I think a lot of times people just get super antsy. So your problem was basically reducing number of injuries from opening train cars.
Yes.
And then you've got talked to, it sounds like a couple different people about your prototype and the idea about it. And incorporated feedback, which is amazing. Did you get any feedback on like drawbacks to your solution? Like, would this be, can you like, maybe explain to me like where this is installed, like in the rafters of a train depot?
Well, so at General Mills, they actually have a loading shed
Okay.
where the trains go in and they open up all the hatches and like get loaded. So it would be installed in the rafters of the loading shed.
Okay.
And how many, you gave the price of one, how many would have to be installed to make it work? I mean, would just one be it, they do one at a time, or is it multiples, or?
Well,
This prototype has like 2 per winch right here, so it would like be probably like 2 things that open per winch, and then it would probably be multiple winches. So
also, we were gonna take a tour of General Mills so that we could know, but COVID got in the way of that.
So I think we just have a few of them, and you just need one to open up one train, and so we just need multiple of them, but not all of them have to be at the same time, so then because we can move the winch, you can move it to another train.
So do you have a sense, like, I guess, what's the average, how many train cars are in the average train that goes through that shed?
Well, you can fit 2 train cars in the shed at one time.
So max you would have 2 winches. And if it's $20,000 per winch, so $40,000 altogether, at what point does that pay off? Like, what is the cost of someone's injury to that, you know, the lost labor and the hospital costs and stuff? Do you have that information?
we don't know like how much, but we don't know, like we don't have an exact amount, but like it would really pay off because like it would, like there have been deaths from this, and
What Andy said, it would pay off because it sounded like they pay a lot of money because of workers' comp and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this would just help them save money because then they wouldn't have to do as much workers' comp.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
they don't-
and I think the important thing is to understand, like, at what point, like, how much does each workers' comp claim cost them? And so that you can tell them, like, it's costing you $50,000 or whatever the number is, for each claim. This is only gonna cost you $40,000, so like, you only have to pay this once, and you're gonna prevent this much money having to pay that out down the road. So that may be something to research a little bit more.
Okay. And they don't have that much money that they can spend. They only get a certain amount, but they also are paying for like probably more than what one winch would be for an injury.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so then this would really pay off, even though they don't have as much money to spend on this. This is still a really good investment.
Yeah, for sure, good return on investment there. Did you have other ideas, on like kind of what solutions that you could come up with, before you decided on this one?
yes, we started out actually looking at the ports, but then that problem we came up with wasn't the problem. And then we came up with a bunch of ideas for helping safety on trains because, and so after a while we had narrowed it down to this idea and one more that might be here somewhere.
I think it's in the old prototype.
Well, our.
If you open it up, Connor, I think it's in there.
There was like a rainbow thing that would go like here.
And then it would kind of lift up the train car on a smaller scale than the winch. But our professional Andy said that the winch would be more feasible and a better idea.
And also if winches already exist, this rainbow thing doesn't like.
So if winches already, or you mean just winches in general?
Yes.
That already exist, so there isn't anything that like exists specifically like this that actually opens it up other than physical labor?
Correct.
From Did you get a chance to talk to any rail workers or anything that could tell you how this would impact them?
We were going to, like during our tour, we were planning on doing that, but again, COVID got in the way, so we couldn't do it.
And also, Andy, it used to be a rail worker, but then eventually he got to be the manager of General Mills, but he did do this job before.
Ah, okay, so that person did that. Mhm.
And then can you maybe just describe the steps that you took from kind of identifying the problem and then through developing your solution and kind of how you landed on the solution?
Well, I think we used the engineering design process. So, we talked to Andy, and he already had a problem for us, and then we did lots of research on that problem, and then we sketched out ideas, and then we made Lego prototypes, and then we went back and talked to him again, and he gave us feedback on which idea would be the best idea, and that's when we landed on this idea.
Okay. Within your team, how did you ensure that everybody had, and not just for research, but for research, robot, everything you have to do for FLL, how did you ensure that everyone had a task and that everybody's tasks were valued and everybody gained knowledge from it?
What we did was, you can go, Connor.
We started the year with like choosing team leaders, like that was kind of around, like that was part of the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, I'm the build leader. Anya and Cora are the project leaders. Nora is the programming leader, and Noah is the core values leader.
And how did you go about choosing those?
What we
So-
did, sorry, Connor, you can go.
No, you can go now.
Oh, thank you. So what we did was we just broke down like some basic categories, and each person picked this one that they like had the most interest in, and like if your project or something, you don't only do that one thing. You like switch around. But if there's like a problem with programming, you can go ask Nora and be like, hey, do you know how this works? And then Nora can like take a look at it and kind of help you.
And how did you ensure that everyone on the team, so you had experts and then different people were, how did you ensure that you shared the knowledge so everyone was privy to, in case someone's absent today and they have to explain something that they might not have worked on?
So,
During each meetings, we came up with an agenda, and so that was the things that we absolutely needed to get done today. And then if there was a leader, then they would normally take that job, and then everybody else would take something that they were most interested in, and sometimes we would divide up into groups and switch halfway or something.
And also, if someone was gone, we have notebooks, so we can write down what we did, and we also have spreadsheets that we can document the changes that we made on, and then we can explain things to other people and show them how something worked, or if we end up getting something done, we can be like, hey, everyone, look at what we finished, this is how it works. And, yeah, so.
Would you like to see one of our notebooks?
Yeah, sure. Oops, well, we don't, we have to ask our final questions, I'm afraid, we don't have, and one question I definitely want to get asked is, how did you celebrate your accomplishments, what'd you do for fun, or?
Well, when we were still researching the boats, we took a boat ride to see things from the water, and then after that, we went out for ice cream at Love Creamery, and we also start each meeting with a fun fact. So then we just start each meeting on a positive note.
I also just want to quickly show you something else that we have. So we catted this and then we 3D printed it. So the train lid would go right in between these two, right here. And then it would always be attached to the winch by these little arcs right here. And then it'll just drop down by the winch, and then they can just kick it in using one of these bars, their knee or their leg. There's
This
a
is our
Barbie
real
doll.
worker Barbie.
And then they can just kick it in, and then they don't have to bend down, or so they don't hurt their back.
Sweet. I think that's about all the time that we have. Thank you so much for coming in. It's great working with you.
Yes, congratulations on making it to stay.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of